Meow, dear viewers. Ukraine's President Zelenskyy just wrapped up a whirlwind 36-hour tour of Europe's power centres, desperately seeking more firepower to fend off Russia's advances. But will his pleas fall on deaf ears? Zelenskyy's diplomatic dash took him to London, Paris, Rome and Berlin, where he met with key leaders including British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. His mission? To secure pledges for increased military aid amid ongoing Russian offensives that have seen Putin's forces gaining ground, albeit at a high cost. The Ukrainian president's shopping list is topped by long-range missiles, specifically the British Storm Shadow and American ATACMS systems. These bad boys can strike targets up to 250 and 300 kilometers away respectively, potentially allowing Ukraine to hit Russian supply lines and command centers deep behind enemy lines. Zelenskyy argues these weapons are critical for Ukraine's survival, saying, "Every day of delay means more Ukrainian lives lost. We need these weapons yesterday." But here's the rub. Western allies are hesitant to provide such capabilities, fearing it could escalate the conflict. There's genuine concern that allowing Ukraine to strike deep into Russian territory might provoke a nuclear response from Putin, who's warned that such strikes could be seen as a joint attack, warranting drastic retaliation. It's a delicate balance between supporting Ukraine and avoiding World War III, folks. Meanwhile, the spectre of the upcoming United States presidential election looms large over these discussions. Analysts warn that a potential victory by former President Donald Trump could lead to a substantial reduction in United States military aid to Ukraine. We're talking a possible drop from the current $80 billion to a mere €29 billion in 2025. That's a potential game changer, and not in Ukraine's favour. Zelenskyy's European tour comes against a backdrop of intensifying Russian offensives. While Putin's forces have made some territorial gains, particularly in eastern Ukraine, they've paid a heavy price. Ukrainian commanders have been making tough decisions, sometimes opting to withdraw from vulnerable positions to minimise troop losses. It's a war of attrition, with both sides feeling the strain. Now, let's put this conflict into perspective. Since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022, over 36,000 civilians have been casualties, including nearly 12,000 deaths. The humanitarian crisis is staggering, with at least 18,000 people displaced in Kharkivska Oblast in May 2024 alone due to intensified hostilities. This isn't just a war of tanks and missiles, it's a human tragedy unfolding before our eyes. Economically, the war has been devastating for Ukraine. Initially, the International Monetary Fund projected a GDP decrease ranging from 10% to 35%. In reality, Ukraine's economy contracted by a whopping 30.4% in 2022. But here's a twist. There was an unexpected rebound in 2023, with reported growth of 5.3%. Still, the long-term economic impacts on both Ukraine and its allies are profound, with inflation surging across Europe due to energy price spikes and food supply disruptions. As this conflict drags on, the question of NATO membership for Ukraine remains contentious. While NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has reaffirmed that Ukraine's future lies with NATO, the reality is complicated. NATO typically doesn't admit countries with unresolved conflicts, and Russia's military presence in occupied Ukrainian territories is a significant obstacle. Meow. If you're feline as invested in this conflict as I am, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspectives are always welcome. In conclusion, Zelenskyy's diplomatic tour highlights the complex interplay of military strategy, international politics and humanitarian concerns in this ongoing conflict. As winter approaches and Russian pressure intensifies, the decisions made by Western allies in the coming months could prove decisive in shaping the future of Ukraine and the broader geopolitical landscape of Eastern Europe. The world watches with bated breath as this high-stakes game of cat and mouse continues to unfold. We'll return shortly with more updates. I'm Ron de Parmesan, and this has been another Newscat special report. Meow!